life is on my entree. Gin and juice, that's Bombay. Driving fast the wrong way, I feel life is like a one-way. It's on a Sunday, fitness on a Monday. My new friend came with punctuate in my closet's like a runway. Humvee must be unsafe, she left me in the Hyundai. My boots, I got a lounge, you sit around and watch a Sunday. Dinner date for 1K, shopping date for 2K. Booty days, it's making wait the other 2 days. Finally got the 2 days. Sweater, my mood change. Top off like toupee, drop off, touche. Yeah, my mouth is full of gold and I'm a city boy. And my outfit doesn't bold, I'm a pretty boy. That's what, like I'm telling how to add an SG. Riding the land, mix, that's my ghetto symphony.
She got to go. Tell her don't waste my time. Police wanna stop me, search my clothes. Tell her don't waste my time. If it ain't money, I ain't involved. Tell her don't waste my time. Waste my ruffling down my phone. Tell them don't waste my time. No. Tell them don't waste my time. 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 No. Tell them don't waste my time. 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 No.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
is a smoking tobacco-free campus. No smoking is permitted. Pets and support animals are not permitted with the exception of service animals. Thank you for your cooperation and enjoy the game.
Good evening from the Nemoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex on the grounds of the University of Tampa campus. Tonight, the Tampa Spartans take on the visiting Rollins Tars. UT coming in ranked number 16 and Rollins number 20. The home team with a 10-4 overall record, while Rollins comes in at 8-3. An important Sunshine State Conference matchup as the Spartans sit atop the conference at 4-0, while Rollins comes in at 2-2. I'm Bruce Wozniak here to call the action with Connor Moore tonight as play is underway. UT wearing their white uniform tops with black shorts and red helmets. Starting off going right to left in this first quarter, Rollins all in blue with white helmets. And their starting goaltender tonight is Will Eckert, whereas it's BJ Borowski down at the other end of the field for UT.
Bruce, this is going to be an exciting ball game tonight. The Spartans have been victorious in the first 9 games against the Tars, but this is a different atmosphere tonight as you see 2 top 20 teams going head-to-head, and all 3 Sunshine State Players of the Week will be in action tonight. Ryan Dunn, Evan Schmeck, and Ross Dickerson. Let's get underway.
And a ground ball caused there by Rollins. They are in transition now after that forced turnover. And there's a bounce shot, and it's going to go out of play in behind the UT net, and possession will go over to the Spartans. A couple of streaky teams on the field tonight. UT has won 7 in a row, and although Rollins modest at 2 in a row, it's worth noting that the Tars had lost their 2 previous games following what had been a 5-game winning streak. Thus my calling them 2 streaky teams. As you see Andrew Q with the ball for UT, gives it to Brian Wright and moves it over now to Chris Cox and back to Wright once again.
And Bruce, one of those losses to Lynn, the Tars had bus issues and only were granted 40 minutes of warm-up time, but since then they defeated the 14th ranked St. Leo Lions and Florida Southern, so they're riding a 2-game winning streak.
Yeah, you're right. It is worth noting those 2 losses that preceded these back-to-back wins. One was by just 1 goal and the other one by 2, and as you mentioned, the Lynn game, the bus issue, so to go through that and then stay in the game all the way and only lose by 2, a credit to the program that Rollins has in their 2019 season, which, as I mentioned, has them currently sitting ranked 20th and 8-3 on the year as UT takes over again here. Gavin Perry starting it out of the Spartans end of the field, trying to gain midfield, and now does.
Tonight's ball game is officiated by Tom Fitzsimons, Stephen Faltis, Daniel DeGaluzmo Sr.
And a game time temperature of 75 degrees. Beautiful night for lacrosse here in West Central Florida. As this is Luke Curran with it. Back over to Shane Hanlon. And he gets the return pass, and we'll send it over to Curran once again. To Hanlon one more time. Hanlon surveying his options. Gives it to Curran, who starts his move. Thought he had a step, and he's going to have to take it all the way down to the goal line extended and work in the near corner. Back up top to Vetter. And now they swing it to the other side of the field. Kansai Gary. Pass right in front, and no shot there for Colin White. As the Spartans work it back out to the perimeter, this is Andrew Q. Q lost it, now picks it back up. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Q's going to have to work fast here to get something off. Q double teamed, fights through it. Behind the back shot goes out of play, and it's turned over. So strong and important Rollins defensive stand there as UT had a sustained possession but really no quality scoring chances.
What a defensive series by the Rollins Tars. Got a chance to talk to Coach Chris Lewis before the game, and his 3 keys to victory were to match the speed of the Spartans, to speed them up and win the 50-50 balls, but we see the Spartans get the turnover.
Yeah, it was somewhat anticlimactic when you put on a strong defensive stand like that and then can't cross midfield and turn it over, as this is Hunter Van Horn with it for UT to Jake Mosher McGraw. A couple of personnel changes for the Spartans as Brian Wright comes on. Wright receives the pass. A streaking Chris Cox looked for the pass. They couldn't get it to him, so they try the other side of the field, and this is Mosher McGraw. Pass right on the doorstep. They score! Colin White gets the goal, and it comes 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. The Spartans are first to get on the board tonight. It's 1-0.
Yeah, 32nd goal of the game of the year for Colin White. And you mentioned the pass, but Colin White just finding a lone spark right there. Nowhere to be found in the Tar defense, and the first goal at the 10:40 mark.
And they've gotten an awful lot of mileage out of the sophomore Colin White in 2019. Came into this game second on the Spartans in both goals and points. And how about the play, Connor, of Ross Dickerson, who you saw out there for the face-off for the Spartans? What a year he has had.
Yeah, this is the 5th week already that Ross Dickerson has been the Sunshine State Specialist of the Week. He is so hard to stop with those face-offs, and teams have had issues all season long stopping him, and he just continues to bring it night in, night out.
Spartans in possession once again. Shane Hanlon sends a pass over to Gary and gets it back, and now tries this side of the field with Curran. Back in the middle of Hanlon again, and over to Gary on the other side. Gary over the Rollins line. Now leaves a pass back for Curran. Curran pushes it into Andrew Q. And breaking towards the net, no shot there for Gary as it's in behind the net. Now a quick pass out in front, and a shot coming. And a nice play there. Shane Hanlon faked the initial shot and turned and went the other way, but it goes out of play, and the Spartans put it right back in quickly as Vetter on the move throws a pass out in front, and that was dangerous. A loose ball that almost could have rolled in the net if it weren't for some heads-up play by the goaltender, Will Eckert.
Spartans' ball movement has been on point in the early goings.
And now Eckert able to get the ball back for his team. Will Eckert, a freshman from Virginia, Bristow, Virginia. And a 9.88 goals against average for him coming into tonight's game. BJ Borowski, the starter for UT, a 10.97. And now the Tars try to get something going offensively as they take it down behind Borowski's net. 9 minutes exactly left here in the first period. 1-0, Spartans in the lead. And Tommy Keene looking for a teammate. Finds Blake Buell. Buell backing way up. And he'll be watched closely by Gavin Perry. One-on-one they go against each other. Buell on the move now. Looks back and saw Joey sink, but a nice play by the Spartans defensively, although the Tars able to pick that one up as Grant Long was there. And now it's turned over as Borowski able to take it away, so the Spartans will head back the other way.
50-50 balls are going to play a huge factor tonight. You saw 3 on that sequence alone, but credit B.J. Borowski for having the awareness to see that ball from his right side.
Well, and similarly, it was about time they needed to get Borowski some work to get him tested, get him into the flow of this game, and get his blood flowing, since we're now almost to the halfway point of this first quarter. So a good test down there as the Spartans are back at the other end of the field, working offensively once again. This is Chris Cox. Cox looked, now takes a few steps towards the net. Cox flips a pass inside, they score! Harry Kilkowski
going top left shelf with that one. Oh my, how on earth could Eckert stop that one? And the Spartans penetrating the Tar defense.
Maybe that was Matt Vetter. It looked like number 3 is number 2, Matt Vetter. And in any event, the Spartans go up 2-0. 7 minutes and 7 seconds into this opening quarter.
The vision that time by Chris Cox to see the cutting Matt Vetter. And then he was heavily contested that time. 2 Tar defenders. He just elevated and found a way to keep it below the cross. And he ended up delivering. Grip it and rip it, 2-0 Spartans.
Casey Platanic chased that one down, but not in time, so it rolls out in the Spartan sidelines, and the Tars take over here. As putting it into play for Rollins is Jackson Colling. Colling is going to get it right back from Brandon Carlin. Colling going one-on-one there with Platanic as that one's going to roll out. And possession remains with the Tars.
Spartans dictating the tempo. They already have 7 shots, only 1 so far by Rollins. So the defense is turned into offense. throughout the first 8 minutes.
And some discussion here as the officials not quite ready for the restart behind the net of B.J. Borowski.
Pizza Hut is a proud supporter of University of Tampa Athletics. Call Pizza Hut today locally at 813-251-3399 and get pizza delivered right to your doorstep.
And now the officials seem as though they're pleased. As waiting back there for the referee's okay is Ryan Dunn. He gets it, and now he puts it in. And being checked back there by Nicholas Perrott, and a flag thrown. So we're going to have the game's first penalty here. It'll be to the Spartans once UT touches the ball, as Rollins continues to work. And Dunn, being hammered defensively there, finally gets a shot away. It goes out of play, but 7 minutes and 53 seconds into this game, we're going to get the first power play opportunity. It's going to go to Rollins.
Yeah, and Ryan Dunn, the junior for the Tars, coming off a career game against Florida Southern, had 4 goals and 2 assists. So Coach Rory Whipple and the Spartans well aware of him. You're seeing that triple team on defense. Spartans staying dialed in, and we get the penalty.
A 1-minute slashing penalty against Nicholas Perrott, as the Spartans will be a man down here as Rollins goes to work. They whip it around to the far side. Looking for something inside is Tommy Keene, and they work the perimeter, and now it's back up top once again as Carlin sends it over, and now working down low, they score! A power play goal by Ryan Dunn, who you just mentioned. And so with 6:43 left in the first quarter, the score tied at 1.
Yeah, that's a big swing there for the Tars. They get the penalty. Need to capitalize that. They do. Get on the scoreboard. And it's a brand new ball game right now as it's 1 goal closer. And you see Ross Dickerson here looking to win just another face-off, what he's done year long.
So 2-1 now. The Spartans had scored the game's first 2 goals, and now they give up that power play tally. And Dickerson able to win the ensuing faceoff. And so UT will go back to work, now leading by 1, as it's sent over on the near side to Matt Vetter, who has one of the 2 UT goals.
Yeah, Dickerson basically automatic winning those face-offs. Gets the Spartans the possession. They get to slow it down and work some perimeter offense now.
And that's Brian Wright playing catch with Jake Moshe McGraw, who sends it to this side to Chris Cox. And now back up top once again, Moshe McGraw will try Wright on the far side. Wright thinks he has a little bit of room to work. A couple of checks, lost it. And right there to corral it for UT was Colin White, keeping things alive on this Spartan possession as Andrew Q is on the move now. Q looking for room to work. A second defender slides over on him. And another nice play in the goal by Will Eckert for Rollins to shut down a UT offensive opportunity. And now the Tars slowly started out of their own end. That's Wyatt Todd. And now up top, Grant Long with it. Long to Blake Buell, who had just stepped on. And a whistle. It's going to be turned over. UT quickly now taking over, and Brian Wright quickly pushes it to Andrew Q. Right back to Brian Wright. Wright looking, has some room, takes a shot, and that one deflected. Didn't get through, but the goaltender Eckert there to cover up once again.
Yeah, 9 turnovers in the game, 5 for Rollins, 4 for the Spartans. So we're seeing defense turning into offense, but sometimes getting flopped. And right now the Tars possess it, under 5 minutes to go in the first period.
And that's Grant Long, as you see him waiting. Blake Buell now stepping on for the Tars and receives the pass. He's got Tommy Keene with him, gives it to him. Keene over the UT line. Keene wants to go right at Jake Moshe McGraw, who says, "I dare ya." And a nice job by Keene to bounce right back up and still in possession as he pushes it to the corner. Now they quickly move it in behind the Spartans net. Up around to the other side, and they'll reset with Buell up top. Over to Grant Long. And now a shot coming, and nice stop by Borowski, who saw that one all the way.
That was a magical save that time by Borowski, as it was a shot from a close distance, and he stood his ground, made the save, and now the Spartans on the move.
Borowski helping his own cause, pushes it up to Moshe McGraw, who crosses midfield. Sends his pass up ahead for Shane Hanlon. Hanlon will keep it. Go into the near corner. And now he's going to go in behind the Rollins net. Shane Hanlon takes it all the way around to the other side. And finally opts instead for his teammate Kansai Gary, as it's Luke Curran with it now. Curran tries that same side of the field. Carries on behind the Rollins net, looks in front, no open white jerseys, so he has to play it behind the net to Vetter. Vetter with a move, but not a good angle. Puts it right in front, scores! Colin White. Nice finish after a lot of hard work by Matt Vetter. And the Spartans regain their 2-goal lead. It's 3-1.
Yeah, you see Colin White finding the soft spot in the zone that time, and Matt Vetter found him, and Colin White knows what to do with that. That's his second goal of the game thus far. He has been on another level of late, as that is already his 33rd goal in the season. And wow, for the Spartans, what a first off defensive play to get that ball by Borowski, and then to turn it into offense late in the shot clock.
And the goal came with 3:11 left in the first quarter, as you see a few of them still battling for the ground ball. And finally coming away with it for the Tars was Rob Champigny.
Yeah, and we see one of the few times that Ross Dickerson does not win a face-off. Credit Rollins for winning the ground ball.
The Tars making a few changes. And in no real hurry yet, as it's Brandon Carlin starts his move against Gavin Perry. Carlin finally gives up a pass for Jackson Colling. Colling, he'll be backed up by Perry. And now looking to go one-on-one against him. And Perry goes down. And a pass now in the middle. A shot coming, they score. Up top over the right shoulder of B.J. Borowski, as Kyle Portera gets the goal to make it 3-2 with 2:02 left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, back and forth action on both sides, and right now it's going to be a matter of who wins the 50-50 balls and earns their team more possessions, because both offenses showing that they can score in the interior.
And so long as this game stays within 1 or 2 or even tied, those of you who have watched Spartans lacrosse for many years have heard me preach ad nauseum about the importance of face-offs and ground balls, because they are a possession opportunity, as you see Dickerson taken down there after he controlled the face-off. And so now UT sets things up offensively. They were up 2-0. Rollins made it 2-1. The Spartans went back up by 2, but now the Tars have drawn to within 1 again.
And I mean, what about Ross Dickerson's motor and drive? He did not win the face-off before, but right away, pulling that ball away and getting the Spartans the possession here with the 1-goal advantage.
And this is Kansai Gary now. Gary, pass for Hanlon. And over to a streaking Luke Curran. A nice check put on him there by James Cowan for Rollins, as it's up top with Hanlon now. Hanlon, a nice little spin move, fake the shot, his pass, and in front they score! Matt Vetter picked the far corner and gets his second goal of the game. The Spartans go back up by 2 once again. with 1:11 to go here in the first quarter.
It's been all Colin White and Matt Vetter in the first period. The Spartans have 3 All-Americans on their team. Ross Dickerson doing a great job winning faceoffs. And, Jake Mosher-McGraw and, of course, Andrew Q. But the Spartans just showing their depth and their poise at this stage where they do not need those 3 guys to necessarily beat you. They have the talent behind them when you focus your defensive attention on those guys.
And you see that one come out into the stick of Hunter Van Horn. And quickly in front of the Rollins sideline, Van Horn takes it down into the corner and gives it to Matt Vetter. Matt Vetter now at 24 goals on the season as Gary sends it over for Luke Curran. And Curran wants to give it back, but being watched there by Wesley Johnson.
In the Spartans' last game against St. Leo, a 17-8 win, Matt Vetter had 3 goals and 2 assists, so already 2 goals leaving where he left off over in St. Leo.
On the far side of the field, that's Kansai Gary. And the Spartans working the clock as there's only 15 seconds left now in this first quarter. Gary looking in front, and here's a long shot coming, and that one goes out of play with 7.3 seconds left in the first quarter. Vetter will put it back in, and the official says, wait for my whistle. There it is. Vetter on the move now, takes a shot, and that one will go out as well with less than a second here in the first quarter. So they put it back in, and the horn goes, and the Spartans go into the quarter break with a 4-2 lead.
That is the end of the first period.
Are you thirsty? Grab a Pepsi. Pepsi has been bringing fun and refreshment to consumers for over 100 years. And did you know that our team has its own official orthopedic physicians? Let's go on and give a big shout out to Dr. Seth Gasser and the Florida Orthopedic Institute and their sports medicine team for keeping the University of Tampa players safe and for providing athletic training services and medical care to University of Tampa student athletes.
So the Spartans outscore Rollins 4-2 in the first quarter. And what a shooting percentage for the Spartans. They scored on 4 of 5 shots on goal. Overall, they had 12 shot attempts. So 5 of 12 go on goal, and 4 of the 5 find the back of the net. And similarly for Rollins, they scored only 2 goals, but they only had 3 shots on goal. So, of course, they'll ask both goaltenders to tighten things up a little bit. And as you said, Connor, Matt Vetter picking up where he left off in UT's last game, which is a good shot in the arm for a team that usually looks for someone like Andrew Q to get things started for them.
Yeah, and for both sides, the 6 goals scored in the first 15 minutes. I was very impressed by both teams' patience on offense. All of those goals came late in the shot clock, breaking down the defense. And at that point, when you have a man advantage like you saw with Rollins when the Spartans get a penalty, those are critical occasions, and whoever can maximize those opportunities will likely be victorious tonight.
Yeah, certainly there's 4 quarters. You like to win each quarter if you can, but just winning the first quarter won't win you the whole game. So I think, as you said, we saw that in the form of the patience that both teams displayed as they both have broken their quarter break huddles, and the players returning to the field as, of course, they have switched ends here. UT will now go left to right on your screen as Ross Dickerson goes out to take this face-off to start the second quarter. And face-offs in the first quarter were 5 for 7 in favor of the Spartans. And now this first one to start the second quarter is won by UT as well, as Dickerson retreats and now runs it up the sideline and goes out. Some spirited play there along the sidelines as you hear the fans reacting to it. It did result in a turnover, so the Tars with their first possession of the second quarter, as Long is up top there with Blake Buell, who has it on the far side.
Yeah, and this is going to be a physical game all game long. Rollins, Tampa, regardless of the sport, it's a rich rivalry in the Sunshine State. Here we go.
Well, and as you said, They score. The Tars get a quick one, just 42 seconds into the second quarter. I was about to say, Connor, that as you had mentioned, UT owns the all-time series 9-0, but this is a rivalry regardless of that head-to-head mark because they are Sunshine State Conference opponents, and there's a lot on the line here with UT, as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, currently 4-0 in SSC, but Rollins by no means out of it, 2-2. So they get on the board quickly there to cut the Spartans' lead to 4-3 as the goal is scored by Joey Sink.
Yeah, and it was an outstanding pass by Blake Buell to set him up and Sink. It was a quick transition hitter, and they capitalized, and you can tell that Rollins is going to need to do that because the Spartans' high-octane offense, when they deliver it, you got to respond right away.
And this is Jake Moshe McGraw giving it to Brian Wright. Wright looks to his right and sees Cox stepping on the field, gives it to him. Chris Cox with a good burst of speed, sends a pass behind the net to Vetter. Cox trying to set a pick, and now it's on the field and picked up. A turnover as Rollins in transition now runs it up, crossing midfield. That's Wyatt Todd. A pass and a quick shot coming. That one was deflected. Borowski went down, but I don't think it even got to him.
Yeah, and Bruce, something to think about. Entering this game, the Spartans had 250 turnovers, only 184 for Rollins. So that's an area where Rollins, if they can win the turnover margin by a significant ratio, they could be in position to pull off the upset. But for the Spartans, they need to continue to attack and find cutters. When they do that, they're as good as anybody.
And that's Brandon Carlin with it for Rollins. Carlin, you see, with the big brace on his right leg as he's being watched way out by midfield by Brian Wright, and now the foot race starts as he tries to get past Brian Wright, who stick checks him, and they score anyways. Well, credit Brandon Carlin for working hard on that possession as Brian Wright gave him everything he had with the stick, and he was not deterred. And we have a tie game now, just 2 minutes and 4 seconds into the second quarter.
Yeah, excellent play that time, drawn by Chris Lewis. It was a 1-2 punch with the cutter, and the Spartans a little bit late on defense, 4-4. But we see Ross Dickerson now. He's been so good on the counter attack. Can he win the Spartans face-off?
Dickerson set in the circle now as he was head-to-head there on that draw against Cam Reeves. And the Tars in possession once again, trying to build on the momentum of 2 goals here so far in the second quarter. And the Tars from Winter Park, what I like to call the greater Orlando area, and they have a number of supporters here in the crowd cheering them on tonight as they're looking for another one here and trying to get their first lead of the game. That's Blake Buell. Pass up top, Tommy Keene. And that's put on the ground by Grant Long. And a bunch of them battle for the loose ball as it's on the far side of the field, and finally coming out of the pack is UT, as Borowski is going to settle things down by playing it to the open side of the field where Nicholas Perrott has it.
Yeah, and both teams now have 6 turnovers, so defense has been at a premium and offense has been shaky at times on both sides.
A long pass there by Borowski, connected with Garrett Nemitz. As Hunter Van Horn, looking at his options for the time being, gives it to Kansai Gary. As Shane Hanlon now in the field, Hunter Van Horn goes off, and out comes Luke Curran. Curran catches the pass on the run. Curran pushes it into the near corner. That's Colin White. White and Matt Vetter have accounted for all of the Tampa goals with 2 each. And this is Hanlon. Hanlon trying to run around his Czech Wesley Johnson as it's up top now with Luke Curran. Curran steps over the Rollins line. Curran gets a shot off, and that one sails wide and out of play. Possession remains with UT.
Yeah, and the Tars are mixing up their defenses, balancing out the man and zone looks, and that's getting the Spartans a little bit frustrated right now, but they have 5 on the shot clock looking to make something happen.
And so the Spartans, who have been outscored 2-0 here in this second quarter so far, come up empty on that trip down the field as Rollins starts it out of their own end. This is Kyle Portera. And taken away at midfield by Andrew Q. Let's see, it's on the ground and picked up by Matt Vetter. So the Spartans able to cause a turnover there.
See a stiff arm that time by Matt Vetter. Get off me, young man. Now the Spartans on the push.
Right in front, Colin White, and a great save there by Eckert, who had the luxury of seeing that his teammates left White all alone in front of him.
Yeah, even though the Spartans come up empty-handed, that's exactly what you want. Colin White one-on-one with the freshman Eckert. Hats off, Eckert makes the save that time.
And so Rollins now setting up on the UT side of midfield. That's Jackson Colling. Colling, one-on-one against Sam Collingwood.
Yeah, I mentioned Sam Collingwood. We don't always talk about him necessarily, but he leads the team in 18 caused turnovers. He's joined by Luke Robideau with 13. They are the main catalyst on the Spartans' defense.
And Andrew Q, as it bounces, and no one able to put a stick on it as it rolls right to the goaltender Eckert.
It's those 50-50 balls that tend to win those games, and now the Tars with an errant pass, and the Spartans will take it over at the 9-minute mark here.
That's my wife. 9 minutes, 12 seconds. We're going to have a timeout called here as the Spartans will get an opportunity here, Connor, to talk about the fact that in the first quarter they outscored Rollins 4-2. Now they're here close to 6 minutes into the second quarter, and they suddenly haven't been able to find the back of the net.
Yeah, and it's been a mixture of both the Rollins defense and the Spartans been getting a little bit stagnant on offense. But right now, you know that Coach Roy Whipple telling his team what he needs. And at this point, waiting for Andrew Q to really certify himself. He is one of the All-American talent, and he will get going, of course. There have been times where he has played second fiddle and let Colin White and Matt Vetter obviously step up, but he is going to get himself going. And as for the Rollins Tars, good for Ryan Dunn and Evan to get going, as they have been the two defensive players of the week in weeks past. So on that side of things, look to see a lot of that before the half is concluded. For fresh-made hot or cold subs, visit Firehouse Subs. At Firehouse Subs, our subs are made the firefighter way. They're served steaming hot, loaded with the finest fresh sliced meats and cheeses. Located at 2617 West Kennedy Boulevard, Firehouse, founded by firemen.
Play back underway now as the Spartans. Brian Wright coming onto the field now, and they'll make some more changes as both Gavin Perry and Hunter Van Horn go off and outstep Chris Cox and Jake Moshe McGraw. McGraw with the ball now and sends it over to Brian Wright. Wright over to Chris Cox, who saw it at the last minute, wasn't expecting the pass, now sends it in behind the Rollins net. Colin White to Andrew Q, calling for it on the far side with Cox, but now that it reaches him, there's no shot. And a shot taken there by Jake Moshe McGraw, a little too much traffic, and ended up not going on goal as it is.
Yeah, we see the on-ball defense by Evan Shemek. He's already caused 2 turnovers, the reigning defensive Sunshine State Player of the Week, giving the Spartans a little bit of frustration now, but they keep the possession, fresh shot clock.
Brian Wright looked over to his right, and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
Held on to it until Jake Moshe McGraw showed up on the scene, and this is Moshe McGraw with the ball, and loses it. Andrew Q is Johnny on the spot to corral that one. And they're doing a good job, Connor, of denying Q with a good look at the net, but Moshe McGraw scores.
Yeah, the Spartans are just too talented to leave one of them open on the interior. Moshe McGraw, how about that shot? Changing up his angle, a bit of a sidewind, but he gets it past Eckert, and the Spartans retake the lead.
Well, and there might have been some confusion. Were they double teaming Andrew Q, or were they in the middle of a switch? But in any event, it still left Moshe McGraw unchecked, so he's able to put the Spartans back into a one-goal lead with 7:53 to go in the second. So for the time being, at least, still denying Rollins their first lead of the game.
Yeah, Jake Moshe McGraw, the All-American, delivering for the Spartans when they needed it.
As Dickerson wins that face-off nicely. And now pivoting Gavin Perry.
See some more substitutions for both sides. Brian Wright re-enters.
And Wright will send it over for Chris Cox.
Spartans with a 50-second shot clock. Working
right across the line. And he's being chased by Wesley Johnson all the way behind the net. And now Wright will reset back there. A little pivot move to try to shake the defender. Draws a second Rollins player over to him. There's a broken stick on the field, and they score.
Yeah, Bruce, speed shows. Brian Wright running around three different Rollins defenders until he finds some separation. And wow, grip it and rip it. Brian Wright, Spartans 6-4.
And that's where you have to wonder what was said during the timeout.
Yeah, whatever Coach Roy Whipple said, it was the right thing because it exhilarated his team. And right now, they're on the push. And we have an opportunity to get this goal. It was just brought to you by the Campus Bookstore. The Barnes & Noble Bookstore has all your needs in one spot. Stop on by, grab the latest gear, snacks on the runs, as well as thousands of accessories. Open Monday through Saturday, located on the first floor of the Vaughn Center.
Dickerson working against Kyle Sudal there, and the Tars throw that one away. So they catch a little bit of a break, and then they hand it right back over to UT.
Yeah, have not seen too many of those self-inflicted wounds, but can the Spartans take advantage?
They play it back to Borowski. That was Nicholas Parrott. And now on the far side of the field, are able to advance it as Hunter Van Horn takes it across the Rollins line. And way over on the far side, that's Vetter, and puts it up top with Chris Cox, who recognizes personnel changes coming, so he holds on. And now gives it to Jake Moshe McGraw, and gives it to Brian Wright. Brian Wright with a little skip step breaks towards the net, and his shot goes wide and out of play. So the Spartans scoring starting to open up a little bit after Vetter and White had combined for the first 4 goals. We've seen 2 other goal scorers since then as the Spartans with an opportunity, and Jake Moshe McGraw scores again. So now 3 Spartan players with 2 goals each. And as I said, what was said during the timeout, because since then, UT has ripped off 3 straight goals. It's 7-4.
Yeah, and this is what we love about competition, because offense is contagious. And right now, everything is going the Spartans' way offensively. They are penetrating the Tar defense, and they are capitalizing on these opportunities. And right now, you have 5:53 left in the half. Continue to ride this momentum and try to go into the intermission with this streak.
And UT has won 8 of 12 face-offs. As you see that one roll free, and the Tars able to come away with it as Sudal pushes it up ahead. A reminder that at halftime of our broadcast, the audio portion will go silent. Do not adjust your viewing device. You will still see video on your screen. Just set a timer for 10 minutes at that point to be back in time for the call of the third quarter. I'm Bruce Wozniak, joined by Connor Moore here at the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex as 10-4 Tampa hosting 8-3 Rollins in a Sunshine State Conference matchup between a couple of teams riding winning streaks, if you want to call 2 in a row a winning streak, as is the case for Rollins. UT has won 7 in a row coming into tonight's game. And the Spartans in a 7-4 lead, as you see play over on the far side of the field with Rollins in possession and starting it in and heading behind the Spartans net. That's Ryan Dunn. And a nice play there by his teammate Blake Buell to get in the way of UT defender Nicholas Parrott right in front, and they couldn't get the shot on goal as it pops up, and UT able to pull that one down and break back the other way. And credit Casey Platanik.
Yeah, 2 great looks by the Tars, just come up short as the Spartans defense prevails. We're now approaching 4 minutes to go in the first half, and the Spartans going to take it on out and work some offense here.
That's Jake Moshe McGraw. And he'll flip it to Chris Cox, who started a little burst and then took it down a gear. Brian Wright will jog it to the corner past his sideline. As we're inside 4 minutes now here in the second quarter, Brian Wright trying to shake the defender. Some quick passing and a shot coming from Moshe McGraw. That one will go wide and out of play. Jake Moshe McGraw, one of 3 UT players with 2 goals tonight, as the Spartans still in possession here. Andrew Q has it in the near corner.
Has 20 seconds to operate on the shot clock.
Q finds Moshe McGraw, who looks like he wants to shoot again, and a save made there by Eckert as the Tars cross midfield. And this has been 2 different quarters within a quarter, as we saw Rollins climb back in the game with 2 goals that tied it at 4, and ever since they've gone to sleep, and this has been all UT with 3 unanswered goals.
Yeah, and it's imperative as we have 3 minutes left in the first half that Rollins gets back and answers the Spartans run. They did the first time. Let's see what they can do the second time around.
Yeah, I think the more unsuccessful trips down the field they have, the more that their confidence may start to erode, as you see a shot there that doesn't find the net, as Ryan Dunn will put it in play. And now we're going to have a timeout first with 2:46 to go here in the second quarter.
At Jimmy John's, they are freaks about fresh bread, meat, and veggies, because that means better sandwiches for everybody. Freaky fresh, freaky fast. Jimmy John's, freak, yeah.
You know, we've talked a lot about the goal scoring for UT tonight, but they've been very generous in handing out assists this evening. Matt Vetter, who has 2 goals, also has 2 assists. And 3 other players all have 1 assist each, being Chris Cox, Jake Moshe McGraw, and Andrew Q. And Connor, as you said before, if you're Coach Whipple, you have to be happy seeing your team up 7-4, and all Andrew Q has is just 1 assist, so it shows the depth of scoring that they do have.
Yeah, it speaks volumes to the Spartans' unselfishness. They all are playing for a common cause, and that's to win the ball game. The stats obviously speak a lot, but at the end of the day, the win-loss is what counts more than the individual stats. And with how much talent the Spartans have across the board on any given night, it's so hard to predict who's going to do what.
Well, now that they're into the Sunshine State Conference portion of their schedule, as far apart as the games are scheduled, I got to believe they're still riding some momentum from beating the likes of Florida Southern, from beating the likes of St. Leo. So now you're in your own stadium, you have Rollins coming in, and you get a start like this, and all it does is just another shot in the arm. As you see play resuming, down now to 2 minutes 38 seconds to go here in this opening half. That's Jackson Colling for Rollins. Colling sends a pass over, and quickly they swing it to the far side of the field. And we saw what happened the last time a timeout was called. UT responds with 3 goals. Let's see what happens out of this one. As you see the official on the spot there blowing the whistle, and so it's turned over to UT as Hunter Van Horn tries to sidestep a check there from Joey Sink. And now Van Horn crosses midfield and up to the Rollins line.
Yeah, we've seen 20 turnovers already committed by the two teams tonight, and at this stage you have a 2-minute drill. If you're the Spartans, look to operate, work some clock, and try to find a cutter. Perhaps Andrew Q, Jake Moshe McGraw, Matt Vetter, and Colin White have had a nice little game going between them so far.
That's Gary, sends it over to Curran, and now gets it back, and he'll send it over to this side to Shane Hanlon. Hanlon across the Rollins line. Pass is pulled down by Curran. Over to Andrew Q. Looking for a pick, didn't get it, but carries on. Q backing up now. 90 seconds to go here in the second half. Excuse me, the first half.
Yeah, I like what the Spartans are doing right now. They're slowing the game down as they have 20 seconds on the shot clock. Take it slow and end this half similarly how you started it.
Shane Hanlon pushes a pass down to the goal line and over for Colin White. Looked at Andrew Q, kept it himself, and a ground ball as going over to retrieve it is Kansai Gary, but we're going to have a penalty coming up against Rollins as you see it go out of play on the far side of the field. And so with what's 0.2 of a second amongst friends, with 1 minute left here in the second quarter, the Spartans are going to get their first power play opportunity in the game.
Yeah, and the saying, good things come to those who wait. The Spartans on offense, very patient, and you saw the aggression that time coming back to backfire on Rollins. Can the Spartans in the last minute or so take care of business and get another goal before the half?
So Matt Vetter will put it into play on the far side of the field as Rollins picks up their first penalty in the person of Wyatt Todd. 1 minute penalty for an illegal body check. And so UT, Andrew Q with it now to Brian Wright. Wright up top, over for Vetter. And the Spartan players are a little handicapped here because the scoreboard has gone dark in the portion that displays the time remaining. You can actually still see the time remaining on the penalty, which fittingly is very close, and now they get that portion of the board back up as we're down to 25 seconds left in the second quarter. Ball goes out. And I guess if you're going to have scoreboard problems, it might as well be as you're going into a 10-minute halftime. And a reminder that during that halftime, you will not hear audio. You will still see video. Do not adjust your viewing device. Just set a timer at that point for 10 minutes to be back in time for the call of the third quarter. As the Spartans working on this power play, Brian Wright wants to pull the trigger, gives it to Q, flips it over. Now a shot coming. They score! Matt Vetter with 8.9 seconds left in the half. And the Spartans lead goes to 8-4 now as they capitalize on the power play.
Yeah, Matt Vetter, a hat trick now along with 2 assists, exactly what he did last game against St. Leo. This man is on a mission, and for the Spartans with 8 seconds left, what an exclamation point to an otherwise quality first half against the Rollins Stars.
And so identical quarters as it was 4-2 UT after 1, and now they've outscored Rollins 4-2 here again in the second as Ross Dickerson out there for the face-off against Cam Reeves, and time is going to run out. We reach the end of the first half, and the Spartans go into the break with a lead over Rollins of 8-4. We'll be back with the call of the third quarter in 10 minutes. Back with you at the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex on the grounds of the University of Tampa campus, and ready to start the second half of play, where UT finds themselves in the lead 8-4 here against number 20 Rollins, as a couple of Sunshine State Conference rivals going head-to-head here in the 10th all-time meeting between the two teams. And Connor, as you pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast, 9-0, the Spartans own the all-time series. And if you're watching from a Rollins perspective, hopefully your team made adjustments at halftime. Otherwise, the Spartans are 30 lacrosse minutes away from pushing that to 10-0.
Yeah, I think the intermission had a big impact on both sides, because going into the intermission, as we see two flags actually already thrown. We're not even 10 seconds into the second half, so physicality playing a factor as the Tars will look to answer back.
And one area that the Tars started to show just a little bit of improvement on in the latter part of the first half, slowly clawing their way back into the game in terms of face-offs. There were 15 face-offs, 9 won by UT and 6 by the Tars. So if they're going to get themselves some possessions and try to get back into this game, chip away at this deficit, that's one way to start as we wait for the penalty to be called.
30 seconds.
And it goes to Julian Bombard.
Yeah, 30 seconds with the hold that time. So Rollins get an opportunity granted, need to cash in right now.
And they go to work with a shot that goes wide and out of play.
What makes the Spartans so hard to beat, though, is they play within themselves. They will never allow the game to get out of their hand. They will play their style of lacrosse for a full 60 minutes, and we saw that for 30 already. And at this stage, Rollins need to speed it up, I think, a little bit more, because the Spartans having their way offensively.
And they need to speed it up here before this penalty expires to Bombard. As you see it go out, and Rollins putting it back in the near corner. There's a pass sent behind the UT net, and now out in front it doesn't connect, and so the Spartans able to take it away as Jack Tyrell hits it up ahead, and now breaking out at midfield, Gavin Perry pushes it up ahead, and in front of the Rollins sideline, that's Matt Vetter over to Hunter Van Horn, over to Q. Andrew Q backing up and leaves it for Jake Mosher McGraw, who had a impressive first half. Mosher McGraw contributing 2 goals and 1 assist as UT goes to work now offensively after having killed off that penalty to start the third quarter.
Yeah, and it's been the Spartans' ferocious defense, holding Rollins to only 12 shots, and only 6 have been on goal.
That's Brian Wright over on the far side right. Pushed off the defender, and now here's Chris Cox. Cox right in front, Moshe McGraw, and a save made there. Nice job by Will Eckert. And with all the goals that we've seen, the save totals are quite low for both goaltenders. Of course, Rollins only has 6 shots on goal as it is, thus just the 2 saves for B.J. Borowski. And at the other end of the field, Will Eckert with 4 saves thus far, as his team with the ball right now. And that's Blake Buell sending it over to Grant Long.
Yeah, and through the first 3 minutes of the second half, Rollins has changed their approach, obviously amping up the intensity as we have an opportunity here.
Could they score?
Yeah, the backside of the Spartan defense nowhere to be found, but do we have a taunt perhaps, or what do we have here? Maybe an excessive hit?
That goal will stand. It comes 3 minutes and 13 seconds into this third quarter.
And how about the penalties we've already seen? This is already the second penalty in just north of 3 minutes.
Assisted by number 3, Tommy Keene.
And yeah, it looks to be a shot to the upper body that will be a penalty as a result.
And it looks like it's going to be Nicholas Perrott who's kneeling down in the penalty area. So, Connor, this makes for an important face-off if you're Ross Dickerson for UT. And it's a 1-minute call. So the Spartans, who, as you mentioned, went down a man to start, and now all of a sudden another shorthanded situation here. They're fortunate to win the draw as Dickerson advances it. And Matt Vetter will certainly see the Spartans slow it way down now as they'll try to kill as much of this penalty clock as they can.
Yeah, talk about how Coach Rory Whipple is one of the best in the country. Coach Chris Lewis putting his name right up there. No surprise. His team fighting to the finish, and you know that Rollins is not going anywhere. So both teams have to stay on point, dialed in, and back to the fundamentals right now.
Brian Wright going for a jog behind the Tars net. And now takes it all the way back up top. And Wright, 2 defenders on him, and he'll give it up to Jake Mosher McGraw as they're just working on killing off this 1-minute penalty. And a great job here, although, hold on, a ground ball as 2 Tars go after it, and now Colin White takes down his check, and things getting physical as the Spartans have returned to full strength. But the Tars able to come out of all that with possession. Looking for some help, though, was Harrison Bluestein. And so now Rollins gets it across midfield as Rob Champigny sends a pass over, and both teams are going to make personnel changes.
Yeah, and Bruce, that was spectacular lacrosse on both sides. Neither team giving up on the play, and as a result, the possession changed 3 different times.
Pass over now for Brandon Carlin. Carlin wanting to go one-on-one with Gavin Perry, gets a step on Perry, shoots and scores.
Yeah, what an effort. Steam.
Brandon Carlin, and just like that, the Tars have, as they did in the second quarter, scored the first 2 goals of this quarter. It's now 8-6, and we're just past 5 minutes into this third quarter. So the UT lead is reduced now to 8-6.
Yeah, it's a ball game right now here in Amoli, and an important face-off, as you mentioned, Bruce. Right now, who gets this possession? Through the first 5 minutes, we've seen both sides amping it up, and the possession will be awarded to the Tars.
And for Brandon Carlin, his second goal of the game, and that's 6 on the season for him now. And to the Tars' credit, they are in possession once again. And let's see if this time they can get a third. As there's a shot coming, they do. Carlin again, and beating B.J. Borowski. 5 minutes, 33 seconds into this third quarter.
And this has been a game of runs, and right now the Tars are rolling, now only trailed by 1 goal. And for the Spartans, Ross Dickerson loved to win this face-off and calm down the troops. Hope to retake the
And the Spartans
momentum.
are making a goaltending change as Anthony Caruso takes over in goal here. And we've typically seen them go to Brian Karn as the second option. They go with the 6', 175 senior Anthony Caruso, trying to stem the tide here as Rollins with 3 goals in less than 6 minutes.
Yeah, Caruso hoping to make an impact off the bench. See what he can do is Rollins continuing to put their foot on the gas pedal, looking to tie it up.
And they have it in behind Caruso's net. And they score! Ryan Dunn, as the Tars have come all the way back from down 8-4. 4 goals in less than 6 minutes.
Yeah, and I think right now, if you're Tampa, a lot of game left to be played. Need to regroup, stay composed, and And now we see there's a new player for the Spartans taking the face-off. It's Devin Hess. Ryan Dunn with the goal.
Devin Hess, who has won 29 of 45 face-offs this season. And working hard there in the circle against Cam Reeves, and a bunch of them jostling for it now. And it finally comes out, and the Tars, everything going their way now, Connor, as Roy Hansen able to come out of the pack with that one, sends it over for Ryan Dunn, and a big hand here from all the supporters who have made the trip to support the Tars in this road game.
Yeah, here we go. Who is going to step up and make a play for either side?
Tommy Keene with it for Rollins, pushes a pass down behind the UT net. They swing it to the other side. And now looking Kyle Sudol as they send it behind the net. And juggling it back there was Greg Tacher. Pass up top and a shot coming. They score! The Tars with their first lead of the game on a long shot by Blake Buell. 6 minutes, 59 seconds into the third quarter. And wow, how about these Rollins Tars?
Yeah, you talk about how the tides have turned. Now 26-17, the shot differential. Just moments ago is 25-10 in favor of the Spartans, and a well-timed timeout right now by the Spartans just to regather themselves, and obviously trailing by one, but that can all change given how quick-witted they are offensively. For generations, Krispy Kreme has been serving delicious donuts and coffee. Stop on by for an original glazed or other variety paired donut with a hot cup of coffee. Visit the nearby Krispy Kreme on West Kennedy. Krispy Kreme is serving hot donuts now.
And as there is something to be said for how do you perform when you have the lead, but now it's a totally different position that UT finds themselves in, as they have not been in this posture up until now. As I mentioned, Rollins, their first lead of the game. And now UT is going to change goaltenders once again, as now it's Brian Karn who does come in goal. So a very brief appearance for Anthony Caruso, who unfortunately allows 2 goals, no saves, and very, very short hook. Very short leash as Rory Whipple, the coach, with the quick hook, and goes to Brian Karn, who has seen his fair share of action this season, an 11.52 goals against average.
Yeah, and give credit to Rollins and Coach Chris Lewis. Through the first 7 minutes of the second half, it has been all Tars. They've scored 5 unanswered goals, which was at one point an 8-4 Spartan lead. It has vanished, but the Spartans have possession now, so offensively slow it down, get in there offense in the half, and look to make a move, working the X. I think that Brian Wright, we see him getting ready on the bench. Expect him to make an impact sooner rather than later.
Well, and UT does have plenty of upperclassmen on the roster, so they're veterans. They realize that even if you do score here, the game's not over. There's a lot of lacrosse left to play, so I don't think there will be this urgency that we need to go down and score immediately. Just need to play Spartan lacrosse and get back to what had gotten them to an 8-4 halftime lead.
Yeah, definitely. We see right back on offense, Collingwood on defense, 2 of the staples of the Spartans. Here we go, 30 on the shot clock.
Colin White pushes a pass behind the net. And working back there, Matt Vetter. Vetter gets some help. Pick from Chris Cox as it's on the ground. And they battle for it, and Rollins coming away with the ground ball.
Yeah, and how about the contest by Evan Shemek, one of the elite defenders in the conference. Saw that Colin White took his eye off the play for a second. He contested it. He causes the turnover. But right away, the Spartans coming back, looking to apply pressure on the ensuing Tar attack.
Jackson Colling with it now is stepping out in the field for Rollins is Brandon Carlin, who's having himself quite a game. 3 goals and 1 assist. That's Colling being watched by Hunter Van Horn on the far side. And he looks up top to Carlin. who's being watched there by Casey Platanik. And Carlin working, sends a pass over. And here with it now is Kyle Portera, pass into the corner, in behind the Spartans net. And popping out the other side, there's a shot that goes wide and out of play. So anxious moments here in this third quarter as the Tars have taken their first lead of the game and looking for more here around the cage. Testing Brian Karn, the third UT goaltender of the night, as it's out of play and possession remains with the Tars, but there's only 11 seconds on the shot clock, so they're going to have to work quickly here as play restarts. And quickly there's a shot that hits the official and goes out of play. The shot clock down to just 5 seconds. And let's see if the Tars can get off a quality shot. Karn got a piece of that one. Goes out of play.
Yeah, and one of the better defensive sequences we've seen this half by the Spartans. Staying head on a swivel, perimeter defense. They work hard, but at the end of the day, it will have to be a team effort, and we're seeing that for the Rollins team. They have 6 players who have scored thus far, so the contributions across the board making it difficult on the Spartan defense.
And they were fortunate there to get a fresh shot clock. As you see, a nice defensive play there by Julian Bombart on Tommy Keene, as 3 of them battle for the ground ball. And now another Rollins player comes in, and coming out of the pack with it, the Tars. And hold on, whistles stopping play, and now some words being exchanged down here. We've got a bunch of players, as it looks like Tommy definitely flaring here, as coaches coming out on the field for a UT, as it's in front of their own sideline more or less. And it looks like we're going to get a timeout called. Exactly 5 minutes left here in the third quarter, and the Spartans playing from behind at 9-8 in favor of Rollins.
Sodexo University Dining Services allows you to choose from 27 dining stations serving breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night snacks. The official concessionaire of University of Tampa Athletics is Sodexo Campus Dining. Visit the University of Tampa website and check out dining services for our variety and hours.
Play resumes as Grant Long with it for Rollins. His pass over for Keene. Back to Long once again, and now a long shot that's taken out of play as the Tars put it back in. That's Ryan Dunn on the far side of the field. And going down, a save made there by Brian Karn. And give credit defensively to Sam Collingwood for the Spartans. And a spin move there as Jack Tyrell has it and advances for the Spartans with a pass up ahead to Gavin Perry, who caught a stick up in the mouth. Perry holds on.
What a defensive stand by the Spartans. Can they translate that into quality offense?
And now Kansai Gary for UT over to Andrew Q. Back to Gary. And he'll give it up to Luke Curran. Curran, the Spartans in no hurry here. Plenty of time on the shot clock. 3:55 to go here in the third quarter. Andrew Q on the move now. Q takes a shot, scores!
Andrew Q, how do you do? That's vintage Andrew Q right there, working the lead top, coming down right to left, getting to his strong side. And the exclamation point, we're all knotted up at 9.
And what a quick release by Andrew Q, who had 2 assists in this game and finally gets on the board in the goal column, his 42nd of the season for number 42. And so we are knotted at 9 with 3:48 left here in the third quarter, which, Connor, if you look at it, all the work that Rollins has done, 5 goals in this quarter, and yet they're only tied. So that goal can change the momentum that quickly because they have worked so hard, and yet they give up a goal that gets Tampa right back into a tie, and now the Spartans win the faceoff and have another possession.
Yeah, and give Rollins a lot of credit. They kept the All-American Andrew Q off the scoreboard for quite some time, well over a half a play. But right now, if you're the Spartans, continue to feed Andrew Q. He's too good to be held in in check for that long. Get him the ball and let him work.
And Shane Hanlon told Kansai Gary, no, send it to the other side. Give it to Curran. And now this is Hanlon for Curran. Curran has passed over for Q. Q as Curran went down. And now Curran, who's back up with the ball, gives it to Q. Andrew Q across the Rollins line starts his move. Q doesn't have an angle. He's going to take it behind the Tars net. Q still with it, as there's no white sweaters in front of the net. And now a pass up top. Luke Curran's shot deflected and handled by Will Eckert.
And even though the Spartans don't score, you show how versatile Andrew Q's game is. He's a facilitator as well as a scorer. He drew the double team pass to an open Curran, got an open look, just put it on the money, and Eckert with the big save for the Tars.
Yeah, for all the talk about Andrew Q and all the goals that he scores, he did come into this game as the leader not only in goals and points but assists, and has padded that lead with 2 helpers in this game, putting him up to 29 assists on the season. And Andrew Q, by the way, has surpassed the 70 points plateau. He's now at 71. As you see, Rollins going to get something going here as we're down to 1:47 left in the third quarter. All tied at 9, and that's Brandon Carlin. Portera, a little love tap from Gavin Perry, and in behind the UT net, it's on the other side now. Up top of it, Colling trying to shake off the check. Nice play defensively there for UT by Julian Bombard, although the Tars still in possession and looking for something. Brandon Carlin, there's a shot coming in, deflected. I believe Nicholas Perrott got a stick on that one. And with 1:16 to go here in the third quarter, there's only 1 second left on the shot clock.
Yeah, what a play by
the
Perrott.
Tars give that one over. And Jack Tyrell hacked at immediately. And Brian Karn says, let's move this up, fellas. And so breaking now, Casey Platanik crossing midfield. Platanik is pushed up ahead. Matt Vetter with it. Exactly 1 minute to go here in the third quarter. Jake Moshe McGraw waits, knows he's got some new troops coming on the field. Brian Wright, one of them, receives the pass. Wright sends a pass behind him to Cox, and back over to Moshe McGraw again, who looks down at the other end of the field at the scoreboard for the remaining time. There's more time on the shot clock than there is on the game clock, so the Spartans likely working for one final shot of the quarter as Chris Cox sends it behind the net to Brian Wright, who's almost to the back line. We're down to 20 seconds in the third quarter. Wright being marked by Wesley Johnson. And now a shot coming. And the Tars, they airmail that one down the field, and let's see. It's pulled down by Brian Karn, but time is going to run out on this third quarter, so it sets up for an exciting fourth as we've reached the end of 3, and our score is tied 9-9.
Yeah, Bruce, what a first 3 quarters. Cannot wait to see what is in store for the final 15 minutes. 2 talented teams going head-to-head. Factor in the rivalry between Rollins and Tampa. What a scene on a Wednesday night here in Tampa, Florida.
The Spartans, by the way, will remain home and play again this Saturday night, an 8 p.m. face-off against Lynn.
Yeah, senior night, yeah.
Lynn is the team that's actually behind UT in the Sunshine State Conference standings right now. We've talked about the fact that Rollins is 2-2 in SSC play, and UT is up top at 4-0, but right in between them is Lynn at 3-1. So another great night of lacrosse in store a few nights from now when those 2 teams play here at the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex.
Yeah, and Bruce, Lynn was actually at Palm Beach Atlantic, and they defeated the Sailfish 15-7 today. So even more importance on this game tonight between the Tars and Spartans, as all three of those teams truly in contention for a conference title.
And then in a bit of a scheduling quirk, if you're watching this game from a Rollins perspective, thank you. Your team's next game is back at home against Palm Beach Atlantic. And you see that the quarter break has ended. Both teams back out on the field, and Connor, as you mentioned, Coach Whipple shaking things up a little bit insofar as Devin Hess will take this face-off to start the fourth quarter, spelling Ross Dickerson, as overall the gap has closed a little bit further from when I last updated you viewers, that now 12 of 21 face-offs won by the Spartans. So the Tars slowly finding a little bit of success in the face-off circle as the fourth quarter officially underway now, and Devin Hess does win that one. And an errant pass there as it's missed by Sam Collingwood, and now the Spartans able to come away with it after all, as Collingwood stood over his prey, and the Tars player gets back up while the Spartans go back to work offensively down at the other end of the field, but they want to make some changes first as off goes Dylan Carter.
Yeah, and how about the physicality by Sam Collingwood? He led the team coming into the game with 18 caused turnovers. That was just his fourth of the game, so he is bringing the heat on the defensive side of the ball for the Spartans. Brian Wright trying to get things going here for the Spartans.
And Andrew Q across the line, being checked there closely by Wyatt Todd. Q itching to shoot. And really strong physical defense there by Wyatt Todd, a 6'3" junior. And they're able to get the turnover, are the Tars, but hold on. There's a pass that's going to be run down, and the speedy Brian Wright, does he get there first? No. The official right there on the spot to call that one, and gives possession to Rollins. And now the Tars, with their first offensive possession of the fourth quarter, they outscored UT 5-1 in the third quarter after having been outscored 4-2 in the first and 4-2 in the second. And
yeah, and
this is Blake Buell.
Yeah, what a game of runs it has been. The Spartans came out of the gate on top, and then Rollins countered before the Spartans got into a lot of rhythm to end the half. You mentioned, Bruce, it was all Rollins in the third. As the Spartans' defense prevailing, they're on the push.
And there's Jack Tyrell running it up for UT. Tyrell has it knocked from his stick, and all of a sudden the Tars go back the other way. Tommy Keene, his pass up ahead.
Yeah, both teams happy to cough the ball up right now. Credit the defenses.
And here's a good look. Nice save by Brian Karn, as Blake Buell had a great line on his shot that was stopped by Karn, the third goaltender of the night for the Spartans.
Yeah, Brian Karn, the senior, standing tall in net. Buell delivered the high heat shot, and Karn prevails.
Sam Collingwood to Hunter Van Horn, who gives it now to Kansai Gary. Gary steps under a check from Tommy Keene, and they settle things down as Shane Hanlon gives it to Luke Curran that just stepped on. Curran, a little bit of a burst, and hold on. There's a call against the Spartans, that frustrated fans expressing their disappointment.
Yeah, that was a play. No call, but it has been that type of game where the officials have let them play, and both teams still kind of getting a feel for that, where you can bring the physicality and maybe get away with a call or two.
So Rollins settling things now, as you see Jackson Colling, and he comes in and scores. Well, Jackson Colling, who started from just on the UT side of midfield and ends up all the way down near the Spartans' goal and putting that one in behind Brian Karn, and the Tars go back into the lead. It's 10-9.
Yeah, Rollins capitalizing off of the turnover. Both teams have committed 16 for the game, so we have 11 2:38 left in the ball game. It's going to come down to what team can protect the ball, so critical late in this game.
And Connor, you would think by this point in the game, they would have cleaned up some of that sloppiness that we saw. Both teams, 16 turnovers each. That one's corralled by Devin Hess and taken across midfield.
Yeah, time and time again, that's what these conference games come down to. It's never pretty. It's a grudge match. What team can pull away late?
That's Kansai Gary with it now. And has Shane Hanlon with him and gives it to him. Hanlon over to Luke Curran. Curran has seen a lot of field time in this game tonight, as we're down to exactly 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And now you see Kansai Gary directing traffic and starts his move, steps across the Rollins line, puts on the brakes, and continues on. Gary on the move. Sends a pass in behind the net. Colin White pushes it out the other side. Up top now, Hanlon. Hanlon with a little bit of room out there. Hanlon, and that one's going to go out of play in behind the Tars net.
Transition on display that time by Rollins. They got back after turning it over in their own right, and they get the defensive stand, whereas for the Spartans, just not on the same page with the pass.
And now here's Brandon Carlin, who's enjoying a 3-goal, 1-assist night. Carlin obviously not hampered by that leg brace, supporting his right knee. And he's being watched there by Casey Platanik. And this is Kyle Portera, one-on-one with Hunter Van Horn. Portera now running across the restraining line, takes it to the other side, and his pass back for Carlin. Carlin tries to shake Platanik some defensive help. Someone's open. There's a shot. They score from a tough angle, and Ryan Dunn able to squeeze that one in between Brian Karn and the goalpost, and the Tars with a 2-goal lead, 11-9.
Yeah, and thus far it has been the Rollins' ability to match the Spartans' offense. Entering this ball game, UT outshot Rollins 628 to 478. That's not the case at all right now. It's 29 to 27 in that regard, and that has allowed Rollins, along with steady defense, to hold a 2-goal advantage. But for the Spartans' sake, they have plenty of time, stay poised, look to win this face-off here as it's a ground ball loose.
And worth noting, that time Coach Whipple went back to Ross Dickerson for the face-off. Although you see here that it's the Tars in possession. They have the only 2 goals of this fourth quarter thus far. So in the second half, the 20-ish minutes that have been played in the second half, the Tars outscoring UT 7-1.
Yeah, definitely, and it's been a matter of runs. The Spartans get a key stop here, but right now for Tampa, Rollins, they've been giving it to them for quite some time. This is where they counter and make a final push in hopes of winning this ball game.
Karn takes it up to his own line over to Tyrell. Tyrell pass that connects on the other side of midfield with Jake Moshe McGraw. And McGraw waits as they'll make changes. Chris Cox stepping out there and takes it from Moshe McGraw.
And now here comes Brian Wright off the sidelines.
And now Matt Vetter. Vetter steps across the line. Vetter has a man behind the net. It's Brian Wright, but he turns back the other way. Now back towards the net, and he will flip it to Wright. After all, deep behind the Rollins net. Wright trying to shake a check there from Champigny. Wright out in front, scores!
What a play drawn up by Coach Roy Whipple. He has Brian Wright sneak in off the side to the X position, and he works around the circle, getting to his solid, strong hand from the left, going middle, unstoppable. Here come the Spartans.
Yeah, Brian Wright was inches from the out-of-bounds line behind the Rollins net. The next thing you know, he's right in the lane for a goal that cuts the Rollins lead to 11-10 with 7:59 to go here in the fourth quarter.
And what makes that play so special is even if Wright is stopped by the help side, that allows the weak side to get open for an easy pass from Wright, and Wright has that vision of a playmaker. As we see the ensuing face-off collected by the Spartans, can they maximize it?
And a collision right in front of the Spartans sideline as Colin White rolled into his own teammates, and whistles here as the official wants to set everything properly. Clock stopping with 7:40 remaining here in the fourth quarter.
We got a ball game right now, south of 8 minutes. Which team wants it more?
Brian Wright now with 2 goals in this game. And for Brian Wright, his 2019 campaign, he did miss a few games, but he's now up to 13 goals on the season. As you see, Rollins in possession here. And now with it is Grant Long. Long will go one-on-one against Ronnie Scholl. Long leaves a pass and looking for a shot as Blake Buell scores. Very quickly, the Tars answer back and regain their 2-goal lead as it's now 12-10 with 7:08 to go here in the fourth.
What a shot that time by Buell, just going right through 2 Spartan defenders and having the ability, even when challenged by 3 Tampa defenders, to follow through and land the top left corner for the goal. 12-10. And an important face-off at the 7:08 mark.
Blake Buell having himself a 3-point night, as that's now 2 goals and 1 assist. The Tars control it. They take it down quickly, and they settle things down. Could they possibly take a 3-goal lead, which would be their biggest lead of the night? As holding it now is Jackson Colling. And Hunter Van Horn watches him for UT defensively and takes a shot. Karn with the save, a big rebound, and it's taken away, and now quickly on the run. A nice play there defensively for UT by Casey Platanik, and he needs help. Platanik being chased, and the Spartans wisely call a timeout with 6:26 to go here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Coach Roy Whipple saw that his player was in some trouble, gets the timeout in, and now the Spartans, with 6:26 left in regulation, will look to strike back.
Congratulations to our Mount Plaza fan of the game, Tyler, offering business travel.
Embassy Suites downtown, connected via Skybridge to the Tampa Convention Center. Embassy Suites offers a convenient location close to dining and entertainment in downtown Tampa. Located just a few blocks from UT's campus, come stay in luxury at 513 South Florida Avenue in Tampa, Florida.
So 12-10, Rollins in the lead, 6:26 to go in the fourth quarter. A 7-game winning streak on the line for UT, and the Tars trying to get their 3rd straight victory. And as we mentioned, a few subplots with this being an SSC game, and with the Tars never having defeated UT in 9 head-to-head meetings all time. One could argue still plenty of lacrosse left to play, but I reserve the right to change that and notify you when time officially becomes a factor.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a ball game. Thanks for joining on TampaSpartans.tv. Just to allude to the trust that Coach Roy Whipple has in his players, putting them in the position to succeed. Now the players get the chance.
As Vetter pushes it over to the far side. Chris Cox with it. Cox flips over for Moshe McGraw. Jake Moshe McGraw spins, takes it down to the goal line extended to Brian Wright. Wright sends a pass over Matt Vetter. Vetter takes a shot. It's high and out of play and behind the Rollins net. Possession stays with UT. They still got 40 seconds on the shot clock. And now a pass behind the net to Wright. Colin White, and a nice play there to get a piece of that one. I believe that was Roy Hansen defensively for the Tars. As Wright puts it back in.
30 on the shot clock. Spartans need to get moving.
And Vetter with a little skip step finds Moshe McGraw. A couple defenders on him. He scores! Jake Moshe McGraw, wow, with 2 defenders on him. And the Spartans make it interesting, climbing back within 1. It's 12-11.
Talk about the trust that Coach Whipple has in his players. A lot of people will argue that is not a good shot by Jake Moshe McGraw. However, he's an All-American, so he's capable of making that shot. He's double-teamed, he's off balance, but he still has the ability to grip it and rip it, and the Spartans trail by 1.
5:39 to go here in the fourth quarter, and looks like Coach Whipple putting Devin Hess out there for this face-off. As it pops out, no one able to claim it yet. And finally the Tars pull it down as it's Chase Snyder. And now Grant Long with it.
Yeah, and it's crunch time as we approach 5 minutes here in Amoli. 12-11, Tars over the Spartans.
Tommy Keene up top. Keene sends it over for Buell. And now coming out to mark him is Casey Platanik. Goes to his right, flips a pass behind the net. And now back over here on the near side to Long. Grant Long tries to shake a check. A nice play by Tampa to switch defensively. And now it's loose, and the Spartans will come away with it. And now they hand it right back over to the Tars. And it's loose once again. Platanik will pick it up. So the Spartans dodge a bullet there as Platanik carries it up over midfield, down to 4 minutes, 26 seconds here in the fourth quarter. 12-11, Rollins in the lead, and the Spartans will make some changes as now Chris Cox has just stepped on, and going off will be Casey Platanik. Moshe McGraw holding it all this time and now leaves it for Chris Cox as Brian Wright steps out there to join them as well. Brian Wright, as I mentioned, 2 goals in this game. And Andrew Q, keep in mind, just 1 goal and 2 assists. Is it time for him to show back up in the goal column? Here's Wright working behind the net.
I like the formation by the Spartans. Get right moving. Move it side to side.
Calling for it on the other side. Cox, they get it to him. But now sliding over there, Wesley Johnson. They score! And not in time.
That's how you execute the give and go. Jake Moshe McGraw ties us up at 12.
So the Spartans, as you saw Chris Cox calling for it, they're able to get it to him. The defender slides over, and then Moshe McGraw ends up converting. And so Jake Moshe McGraw ties it with 3:39 left. And for Moshe McGraw, what a night he's having. 4 goals now, and he also has 1 assist. And the Spartans win that face-off as Ross Dickerson won it, keeps it himself, and takes it across the Rollins line. Dickerson is going to take it all the way down behind the Tars net, and he gets a big hand.
Yeah, that's exceptional work there by Ross Dickerson, settling the tempo, and the Spartans with just south of 60 on the shot clock as we near 3 minutes to go.
So Dickerson goes off right, and Cox back out there. Chris Cox with it. And so each team has scored 3 times here in this fourth quarter as Brian Wright has it behind the net, going one-on-one against Roy Hansen. And Cox over to Moshe McGraw. I'll send it back behind the net to Vetter. And Matt Vetter now. Send it back up top to Cox once again. Pulls the trigger. And a nice save made there by Will Eckert. And so the Tars now 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And do they get it across midfield? Chasing it down unsuccessfully, Wyatt Todd, so they turn it over. And a big break there for UT.
Yeah, now both teams with 19 turnovers. Talk about that save by...
As we tick down to exactly 2 minutes left in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Spartans get into their 2-minute drill right now. This is where the crowd goes quiet, and the Spartans look to electrify the Namoli faithful.
Brian Wright on the move. Wright puts his shoulder down and now pulls it back out. Wright's going to try it again after all and can't get the shot away, and now does, but it's high and out of play behind the Rollins net. Still 40 seconds on the shot clock for UT. As they work this offensive possession, Matt Vetter with it. Vetter has a little bit of room, can't exploit it, carries on behind the net. And now there's a pass out in front to Chris Cox. Scores! Chris Cox puts Tampa back in the lead, 13-12, putting that one in behind Will Eckert. And the Spartans have come from behind to get themselves back in the lead in the late stages of this important Sunshine State Conference matchup. 1:27 left in the fourth quarter.
What a time to step up for Chris Cox. He was in the right place at the right time. A little bit of a spin move. And the Spartans, with 87 seconds left, will look to close it out.
And for Chris Cox, that'll be his 6th goal of the season. And now the face-off. Ross Dickerson can't win that one as Cam Reeves for Rollins. Now hold on, there's an errant pass. They rake at it, and coming away with it initially was Sam Collingwood, but no, the Tars recover, and they want to take a timeout as Coach Chris Lewis wants to talk things over with 1:11 to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we see Chris Lewis in an all-out sprint there to catch the official Tom Fitzsimon's attention. He gets the timeout. We have 71 seconds left right now. And for the Spartans, they just need to get 1, maybe 2 stops to hold off the Rollins Tars, who put up a magnificent fight here at Namoli to give the Spartans everything they could have asked for.
And keep in mind that our next broadcast will come your way on Saturday night at 8 p.m., the final home game of the regular season for the Spartans, when Lynn comes to town, an 8 p.m. face-off. And as I mentioned before, if you're watching from a Rollins perspective, your team's next game will also be Saturday. That is back at home in Winter Park, a 1 p.m. face-off against Palm Beach Atlantic. And now the timeout winding down here as the Spartans players are back on the field. And we'll see what head coach Chris Lewis draws up for his Rollins players as they break their huddle and come back out on the field. And let's make sure that we give some credit to Brian Karn, who's come on as the 3rd UT goaltender of the night. He has 5 saves in just under 22 minutes of play. He has definitely gotten his fair share of work in the cage tonight for UT. As this is Rollins in possession now, and there's exactly 1 minute left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, expect to see Dunn, Carlin, maybe Buell. They've been the 3 offensive catalysts tonight for the Tars.
Portera giving it to Colling. Jackson Colling shoots, and that one goes out of play. Possession stays with Rollins with 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Shot clock turned off. 45 seconds. Can the Spartans defense hold off the Tar attack?
Ryan Dunn. Pass over for Brandon Carlin. Carlin, it bears mentioning one more time, 3 goals and 2 assists tonight, and here he goes. Carlin, pair of 17s. That's Hunter Van Horn defensively. UT able to get the stop. And the Spartans, it's pulled down by Collingwood, and he's under attack from 3 Tars players. Sent across the field to Jack Tyrell. 17 seconds left. The Spartans gain midfield now. 13 seconds.
The Spartans are feeling it.
And just trying to kill some clock as Brian Wright able to pull it down. 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and the horn goes. The Spartans pull off the come-from-behind win and defeat the Rollins Tars by a score of 13-12. for their 10th victory in 10 games all-time against the Tars, and they improved their overall season 1 loss record to 11-4, while Rollins falls to 8-4. So the Spartans also keep their winning streak alive, now 8 consecutive victories.
Yeah, what a performance by the Spartans. The resiliency and their ability. We talked just moments ago. It was 12-10 in favor of Rollins, and the Spartans able to string together 3 consecutive goals, and none more important than that last one. But how about that stop defensively by the Spartans and the awareness, time, and score to just run this ball game out? Cannot say enough the fight that Rollins put up. They gave the Spartans everything they could have asked for and more.
And so the leading scorers for UT finish up as Jake Moshe McGraw with 4 goals along with 1 assist, and leading the way a 6-point night from Matt Vetter, who gets 3 goals and 3 assists. On the losing side, Rollins gets a 3-goal game from Ryan Dunn, and as I mentioned, Brandon Carlin leads them with 5 points on 3 goals and 2 assists, but it's not enough as they fall by a final score of 13-12 to the Spartans. A final reminder, our next broadcast will come your way Saturday night at 8 p.m. here at the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex as Lynn provides the opposition in the Spartans' final regular season home game. For Connor Moore, I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for watching. Our final score, Tampa 13, Rollins 12. Have a good night.